All right, we are here. It is Wednesday night, and we are getting things around, but we're having a little technical difficulty this evening. We're having a little problem with cameras on MJ's side here this evening, so we are seeing what he can do to get those functioning. And unfortunately, things like that do happen when we're busy putting together live shows. You guys, a lot of you were with the night that our mixer on the other computer, that it died on a Wednesday night music show. So tonight we're having some camera difficulties, and thank you guys for being with us tonight and joining us. We're hopefully going to get things around so we can talk a little bit about some of the functionality with the slip feature, and MJ is going to be demonstrating some things with that and how that can be used in a song. And then I wanted to have him show a couple of things with some questions I had with mixing and such. So that's what our plan is. Now we're just going to see if he's going to be able to get his computer and things all functioning enough to connect with us, or where we're at. Okay, yep, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's just not going to work for him tonight, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to hit that next week. So what I guess what we'll do here tonight, gang, is we'll do a little. If you guys want to do a question and answer time this evening, we've got some time to do that. And then at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, we'll have Jared coming in, and he's going to be talking about some Google things tonight. One of which I've never heard of myself, Google Keep. So, yeah, Peter, we've got Peter and Tony and a lot of you jumping in there. Robin, thank you guys for joining tonight. MJ's having some computer issues this evening, so we won't be able to do, unfortunately, the show like we were hoping to tonight. Next week we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Yeah, wiggle the wire. That's what it is. Oh, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When a person is doing that, he was testing and doing some things this afternoon, and everything was functioning fine. But sometimes software is a fickle beast. That's one of the reasons why this computer, basically, I don't use it for anything else. And MJ's got his studio computer he doesn't use for anything else, but I don't want to mess with this one, so this basically stays as a broadcast computer. Then I've got the computer over there that does its thing for the music side of it, and then I have the one in the house that I do everything else with. So that's just the way it's going to be. For those of you wondering, I spent yesterday, I think I spent about 3 hours packaging the T-shirts and jackets and different things to get those on their way, sent out to you. And I've got to do a bunch more for those of you who are in the insiders area. I've got to do a bunch more tomorrow and get those on their way. For those of you receiving those packages, Lori wanted me to tell you to be very careful when you open it up, because these are a plastic bag. I don't think I've got one of them here, but it's a plastic shipping bag, and that's what I stuffed everything in, and it's really kind of tight. So you're going to be a little careful when you go to cut it open or open it up, because there's obviously cloth. There's shirts and jackets inside that, so you don't want to do that. Yes, my Queen's greatest hits, and I wanted to show you a little bit, because I'm illuminating. I'm going to turn the camera. I'm illuminating with, there you go, you guys can see it. That is the vivid light right there, that shadow box, and I've been using that the last few days. And I wanted to it was kind of blinding. It was almost too bright for illuminating the album. I did two things. One is I brought it down. First, I'm going to shut off those inner LEDs. Now, what you probably can't see it on the video, but there is a white LEDs around in the middle. Right now it's set to red, and it's toned down. I can bring it up to brightness, and where is it? And what it ends up doing is it almost washed out the album. So using the remote control, and I could do this with the controller the hub if I had that hooked up in my cell phone, but I don't. I can do that, and then I wanted to bring up. Let's see. I wanted to bring the white LEDs in just a little bit. I can shut those off, and that gave just a little bit of a different look. And I don't know if you can see that. So anyway, that's what I've got back there, doing my thing tonight. And yeah, I must have a light up there that's shining off. I don't know. I've got all sorts of lights going on. So anyway, so that's it. Oh. So yeah, we got that stuff going. Today, I threw up the idea on in our insider area, asking about if folks would have interest in having me go through WordPress, setting up a WordPress site. So I spent about 3 hours today shooting video on how to get. Yep, Robin, the same type of plastic bags. I bet you these came from the same Chinese manufacturers. So I spent about 3 hours today shooting the video, taking it from buying the domain name, getting the hosting set up, getting the hosting, or buying the hosting, getting the hosting set up, then finding a theme, getting the theme installed, getting how to do plugins. And I'm going to be doing variations. And what I want to do with this is it's going to end up being probably about 50 to 60 videos, but they're going to be 2 to 3 minute videos that are single topic. How to install a plugin. Well, there's 2 different types of plugin, or 2 different ways. There's the plugins you can install from the dashboard, and then there's the upload plugins. How do you replace a plugin? How do you update plugins? I mean, these are all going to be little mini topics within that WordPress area. My goal with that is for anyone who wants to do their own website, with the themes and such that are out there today, if you have just a little bit of ability to do something with a graphic, you can have Jimmy create some really cool graphics, and then you can put those up and drop those in on the website and do a lot of cool thing. Yeah, Jimmy doesn't like it. He likes I don't remember which Wix. There you go. Wix is what he does. He's kind of like he's like that those people who like the beta tapes, videotapes back in the day. Yeah, the rest of the world are using VCRs, even though beta might have been better. Yeah, Jimmy's the beta guy. Yeah, I don't have any old time. I'm sure my mother-in-law would on an LP. She probably has quite a bit actually, because she would have been catching it back in the day. The shirt for tonight. This is the Insider shirt. Where is it? There we go. I've got to look at the right one. So this is the Insider T-shirt that I've got, and I don't know if you guys can see the back of it here. If it shows up back there, that's the T-shirt, and the jacket was what I wore last night, and they are about the same, except the logo is a little bit over on the side, and then the back of it has the URL on the back. So yeah, so I've got to put I've got the chat window up here, so I got to make sure I'm not looking at that one. I need to look at the one that is in real time. So yeah, that was something that the website stuff is going to be something that will be a tool for those of you in the insider area. That if you want to be able to use that and go through and set up a website, that would be a way to do it there. So if anyone has any questions or anything, it's kind of an open mic for a little bit here tonight, and then we'll be getting to Jared a little bit later and talking about some Google things. I don't know if you guys are into Instagram, if you've been playing with Instagram, but Instagram, of course, has some tweaks and such. We've talked about this a little bit, and I made mention of the fact that you can go and you can change your, oops, I want to get out of that. You can change your account and have multiple Instagram accounts on your phone, which is a really, really cool thing. And we talked about this a little bit with Jared last week. That is something that I've actually gotten to the point now where I'm publishing pictures in different things on multiple areas. And I think if you're not using Instagram, that would be definitely one I would check out, because you can go and you can push things from Instagram over to Facebook. And if you're tagging and hashtagging venues, there I think is going to be the greatest part of that, because you're having some brides who are going and looking on Instagram for pictures from, in my case, Arrowwood is one of the big resorts, wedding venues. So you've got brides who are looking for Arrowwood. They will go and actually type that in to go look for that hashtag and try to find information on Arrowwood. So if I'm hashtagging, doing some things and taking pictures of venues, what have you, or an event that's there, sharing older pictures. I mean, I've got some pictures from 3 or 4 years ago that they're like, this is a pretty cool picture. Let's resurrect that picture and run it through the social media channels. We can do that. And no one needs to know that it was a few years ago unless there's dated things in the picture. but you can run that through, especially if it's something that shows something cool, like, hey, here's a really beautiful moment. Notice how the lighting illuminated the bride and her father on the dance floor so that there weren't weird shadows in the photo. Things such as that, where you can give a little value and teach a little lesson on those. Sharing those on Instagram and your Facebook page are just fabulous for that. So anyway, that is something. If you guys haven't played with that, definitely check that out and such. Coming up, we've got a couple more weeks talking photo booth with some of the vendors that are going to be at the Photo Booth Expo. We're going to be talking next Monday. And then I've got, if you're looking for the schedule, we have it out at DJNTV.com, and there is the schedule on that. But there's something I wanted to see if I have that on the schedule here. We've got, next week I think we might have two. Oh, maybe I don't have it on the schedule. No, I do not. I don't have it on here. I apologize for that. Next week I believe we have two photo booth shows, and then we're gonna, up in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have Joe Bunn coming on, and he's gonna be talking about some of the new things in his new training video that he has just put out, and that should be kind of fun. And I think we're going to be giving one of those away during this show also. So check out tomorrow's email. It'll be giving you next week's schedule, because I don't have it here. I have it on a computer in the house, unfortunately. I thought I had updated it, but wanted to let you guys know what the Joe Bunn thing. And again, photo booth is going to be something we're going to continue to do on a regular basis. One of the shows on Monday night will be photo booth related, whether it's in sales or design or some aspect thereof. And it's just going to be something that a lot of DJs are getting into and want to have some information on that. So that was something we are going to keep on doing with our Monday night show. DJ lighting apps on Android, it's interesting the way that they're just not going in that market. I don't know if I'd buy an iPhone. I would really buy an iPad if I had to do something, because an iPad is just as useful in many in many ways, but it wouldn't. It's a little cheaper. You can buy, if you're interested in something like that, you go to Mac Sales, MACSALES.com. That's Otherworld Computing, and they do a lot of Macintosh and hard drive, and they've been to a lot of the major shows and such. They're out at NAMM. I don't get any kickback or anything from them. They're just a company that I personally have purchased computers from, hard drives, memory for different things, and I buy a brand new computer from Apple, and I will have the memory, the base memory, and then I'll buy the memory chips from Mac Sales, and they're just a lot cheaper to buy them from them. But they have used computers. I purchased a couple of laptops used. I did an iMac used from them, and then no, we didn't. We didn't get a tablet used from them. I ended up getting my tablet from the refurb area on Apple itself, because I wanted to do that to get the Verizon one. But they have tablets that are a generation or two old, back when they were still using the 30 pin, which is what I have upstairs, and that's what I use to control my lights. Is an iPad. I would jump on that. Yes, I did with the White House sub. So for those of you who Peter mentions the White House sub, and thank you for that email, Peter, because that actually did a couple of things for me. I'm a huge fan of White House subs when we go out to DJ Expo. That was something at the Taj there that I really will miss. But Peter had sent a thing where they're talking about a little article about White House subs, and it's like, I wonder where that other location is, because I know there's two. I just have never been to the other location. Well, it's like a block and a half or so from where DJ Expo is going to be having their event, maybe 2 blocks, whatever it is. So it's within walking distance if a person can get I think there's maybe a major road we have to see. So that's going to be something that Lori, when she and I go out to DJ Expo, we are going to make the trip over to White House subs. But next year's DJ Expo is at the Convention Center. The Sheraton is right there, and that's going to be kind of where the vendors and such, where they're going to kind of be, because the exhibits and such are there. And then the evening events are going to be over at the Tropicana, which is a fabulous facility. And I say that because it's clean. It was a cool facility to walk through, and you had internet throughout. I mean, I could live stream from the whole place, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this year's show quite a bit. And now that I know where White House Subs is, and of course, as I'm looking at that, it pulled the map up. It's right across the street from all this little outlet mall, strip mall stuff. And of course, that's something that Lori thought was pretty cool too. So yes, we'll Howie, when Lori and I get into town, and we'll set our time of when we're going to be going, because when she's there, then I can be much more responsible with my time than when I'm by myself. I just get, I'm like walking down a hall and it's like, ooh, shiny thing, that kind of a thing, because there's so many people to stop and talk to, and I get distracted, and I'm here, I'm there, and then the next thing you know, it's I'm like 3 hours late for a meeting I was supposed to be at. So that will be something I'm looking forward to an awful lot, because she actually had her first Philly cheese steak sandwich. There's a Philly shop in St. Cloud about an hour from us, and it was really quite good. It wasn't quite the White House Subs, but it was good. It was the best one I've had in Minnesota for sure. So looking forward to that. Howie's I think next Tuesday night, if it's going to work for Howie, because what we want to do is have Howie come in and talk about his microphone solution for the mic drop. And if you guys didn't catch that last night, or even Brian's video yesterday, the only thing we were sharing about that, because Howie's got a really cool idea, is that our tendency with mic drop situations is we're going to get negative and start making threats, and if you break it, you buy it, kind of a thing. And Howie's found a really cool way to become not only a nice guy about it, but he almost becomes like a little hero to the couple in how he's presenting this. And I'm looking forward to that. That'll be next Tuesday night. So no pressure on Howie, but that's going to take 5 minutes. So whatever you're doing, Brian and I are just there to ride your coattails for the night. So you have 40 more minutes to fill after that. So, but no pressure, Howie. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. Family of 4 with just 1 sub. Oh, come on now, Howie. They're not that big. I mean, they are good size. Okay, I only ate half a sub this, or the half last year. I think the first time there, I didn't look on the wall where it shows you the half and full, and they're like, "Oh, do you want?" And it's like, "Yeah, I want a whole sub." Goodness gracious, I was kind of hungry and whatever. Yeah, won't make that mistake again. That was an experience. So if you ever get a chance, you're in Atlantic City, you got to try White House Sub at some point in time, because it's a unique bread, it's a unique taste, it's a unique experience, and you don't get that anywhere else. So that is good stuff. Yeah. And Reggie, I thought about the $50 wireless microphone idea also. And my only concern about that is I've gotten some $50 microphones in here, and they've sounded like $50 wireless microphones. But I was thinking, you guys maybe you've seen the video that I did with that Vocal Pro. That is the kind of, looks like it's the diamond encrusted one, similar to, it looked almost somewhat like what Lady Gaga was using, where it was all rhinestoned out, and it looks like bedazzled and whatever you want to call it. I thought if a person could use something like that. But generally, that's being used during a time of a toast, or at a moment when you want to have a microphone that's going to make them sound good, that their voice is going to come through the room. It'd be different if they were coming up and just like, running up while during the dance and getting on a microphone and saying, "Hey, everybody, get out on the dance floor, man, this is a party." And then they do the mic drop. Something like that, if it doesn't come through that well, who cares? But when they're up there and they're making a beautiful toast, and they're doing this and they're trying to be, clever and humorous and sentimental all at the same time, and then they want to have this exclamation point at the end. I as much as I hate to risk a microphone, they almost need to have that quality microphone so they can get that sound across. So there's ways to work with it, and that's I think Howie's got a great idea, and we'll touch base on that next Tuesday night with Brian Red. It'll be a fun night indeed. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the new gear. There's some new gear that has come in. First off, some of you have taken you through the studio area and back with the turntables. And I had picked up initially one Stanton turntable. I believe it was the maybe 62. I'm not exactly sure. But it was a direct drive turntable, and I had picked that up. It was reviewed very well, and I paid around $250 for it. And it's the stylus that came with it sounded pretty good. I was pretty happy with it, but then I went and upgraded and got a better stylus for it. Well, I was looking on a couple of websites and such, and the price of that thing has just dropped way off. So, yes, I was debating about going to the Denons right away, but instead I just picked up another another one because they're about $100 cheaper than what I paid for the first one. So if you're looking to get into vinyl and turntables, the Stanton one, which again was a solid machine, I've been very happy with it. I've changed put new stylus on just because those sound a little bit better. But it's definitely something you guys might want to check out. New speakers that have come in. I've got the PV Dark Matter speakers have come in, which is the one that what they sent out was a 15-inch sub, and it's a 12-inch top, a two-way cabinet. The idea behind why I wanted this particular one is price point wise, it is a little bit lower than some speakers. So you're going to be, I want to say that the Dark Matter speakers are probably about $300 a piece for the tops. So they're getting to that price point that they're more consumer friendly for DJs. And from what I've heard at shows, now that's the only place I've been able to play with those, and that's at NAMM in their audio room, and then at DJ Expo and Mobile Beat. They sound good. Are they top of the line? No, your Dark Matter is not the RBN series, but you're also talking, a third or what have you, the price. But the Dark Matter speakers, and we've talked to, I'm gonna I forgot his name, the gentleman who Keith Shockley. There we go. Keith and I have talked about that on camera and off camera. And the idea behind the Dark Matter speakers is they wanted something that was tuned to sound good for DJ music, not be something that's going to break the bank, and something that's portable. Some of the speaker cabinets out there, as much as I'd love like the ETX speakers, they're huge or they're heavy. That 3 whatever it is, plywood in there, that 11 ply plywood is, and such, it's thicker than the others, and it's a heavy box. So I'm pretty excited to get a chance now to pull those out and do some testing with those and do some video work with that. What I want to try to do is set up a 2-camera outdoor shot and do some speaker testing where we're up with one camera at about 30 feet away. And then I want to take another camera about 150 feet away and have the two basically recording everything I'm doing at the same time, and zoomed in, what have you. But I want that second microphone about 150 feet away. That way, when we bring the two videos together, then we're going to be able to give you an idea of what it sounds like at 30 feet and what that will sound at 150 feet away. So that'll give you a little better idea on some of the throw capabilities, and we won't do any modification of the audio in that. So it'll be like, okay, here we are, and then I'll just continue, and it'll flip over to we'll flip to the other clip. So it'll be like, we switched cameras on you, and you'll be able to kind of follow and see what we're getting for throwing these. Because that's one of the things I've been finding with some of the speakers is the difference in dispersion, but really on the throw. Some of these speakers, especially the ETX speakers, the 15, that I think has got a very directional and long throw compared to the EKX. I think the EKX is designed and ported so it's going to fill my dance floor, where the ETX fills the dance floor, but it fills it and throws it farther than the EKX. That's my thought. Lucas, you've got it. That's another thing that's actually going to be coming in here at the beginning of April is the Evox, and I'm debating between the 8 or the 12. 80 pounds on the 12, I believe, and that's for the top and the sub. Very easy. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm just not sure which Evox system we're going to dig into. We've looked at some RCF in the office before, the 745s. If you guys have ever had a chance to look at that, it's an incredible cabinet, but it's a plastic or resin, whatever you want to call that cabinet. It's not a wood cabinet. That particular cabinet is very expensive. I think they're like $1,500 for that cabinet, but it's a horse. Oh my gosh, that can get loud. And the sound quality is incredible for a plastic type cabinet. Interestingly enough, where they sell the most of that, the 745, you guys can go look at it, RCF 745, and I don't have the exact model number, but 745 was in there. That 15-inch two-way cabinet with the huge, the voice coil is just crazy big on that. So you're getting up more mids and such. Your mids and highs are much warmer than they would be in a typical cabinet. But that cabinet is huge on the East Coast. You get a lot of the DJs in New Jersey, New York and such, they are buying that cabinet. You hit Chicago and you come west, Evox. The Evox 8, the Evox 12 are what are going on really quite well with us. Yeah, $17.99. It's incredible that when I first saw the box, a plastic box, and they're going to try to charge that much, but horsepower wise, The only thing I could say is with that particular box, you have to have a dual sub under it, or you have to be basically pulling that thing back so much. Doing one of the tricks MJ talked about is where you're running your booth out to your subs, and you're running your mains out to your tops, and with the crossovers and such all set. So that way you can pull that top back as you're putting more to the sub, what have you, because that is such an efficient top. It's going to run away from a single 18 all day long. You're never going to be able to. You'll be adjusting throughout the night. If you have a double 18, it probably will still run away from a dual 18 unless you have a very efficient, powerful subwoofer with that. It's an incredible box, and I'm a huge fan also of the RCF, the 32A. That would probably be, of all the 12s that I've heard from RCF, that would be the one. If I were going to go and invest in one, that would be the one I would want. Lubricating the rails, that's a great question on the 7000. I picked up some graphite, and what I did is I cleaned the rails, and I did the graphite. It actually was sliding pretty well, but I wanted to try that a little bit, and the graphite seemed to help a little bit, but then I wiped the extra graphite and things off. I have 3 or 4 different, and I could grab those and bring those on out, because 3-in-1 oil, they've got about 10 different oils, and because of my Weekend Handyman channel, weekendhandyman.com, they sent out a bunch of different lubricants: garage door lubricants, locks lubricant, their graphite lubricant, the one that's meant to loosen stuck bolts and such, and then the one that's supposed to be able to cut rust and this and that. So we have all these different lubricants. The ones I used was the graphite, because I wanted to have something that was dry to go with that. My 8000 is a little stiffer than the 7000. The tray or the slide on that. The 7000 is very, very smooth, so I've been really happy with that, and I didn't do anything with it. The 8000, I just wiped it down, added that, and that did move better, but it still is a little sticky. I have to basically use 2 hands to guide it. After having the 7000, which is so smooth and going back and forth, I'm almost liking the 8000 being a little sticky, because I'm really concerned as I'm moving it that if I don't have those little catches set right, that I'm going to go whoop right off the end. And that would be kind of bad, laptop up there and down it goes. Oh, hey, MJ's got a camera. Wiped it down, added that, and then there we go.
Yeah, sorry, I got one camera. That's it. I couldn't do any kind of. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt here.
No, that's quite all right. I was just boring them with my stories. Let me. I'll have to look and see whether there's a couple of different lubricants. I'll bring those out and share that of what I used for that. MJ, on your 7000, your case. There we go.
Anything by this company whatsoever. F Series, Detox It. This is for faders. Any of their stuff for cleaning will work perfectly.
And just on the rails for
just spray it on like a little cloth and then wipe it once up and down. Need to do it every once in a while. I mean, it'll last a while. Pretty much anything, like you said, like I heard you talking about graphite, that'll work. Pretty much anything. I don't know why that they designed them the way they do, to where it's powder coated and then the powder coat wears off and then it makes it really hard to move. But
yeah, and there was such a difference between the two cases when it came to the ease of
spray it on like a little cloth and then wipe it.
Oh, there we go. Now we're getting to
do it every. My whole computer is screwed up today. I apologize, everyone. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, those days happen. I've had that. Wow. The graphite was a powder. I do not have maybe I have a graphite spray, but it was a powder that I wanted to, because I wanted to have dry. So it's in a little squeeze tube.
Make a pencil. Yeah. Ordinary pencil.
Yeah, pencil would get it there also.
Yeah, like a big thick one for like doing construction work. One of those the flat pencils, and that'll work the same too.
Lucas mentioned the Evox 8s can run most parties. So that was my thought too. That's why I'm debating. It's like, do I go with the 8s or the 12s? The 12, of course, would be able to do larger events for what they can do, but the 8, is more portable. And part of what I want to do is I want to have that little sound system that can go in the back of the car. I've got a little, like a hatchback type car, 4-door hatchback. And it's so awesome to be able to throw speakers in there, a single light tree with a couple of effects there, and the everything in the back seat of the car, or maybe into the back end, and off we go. So yeah, I'm kind of torn about that. So I've got to figure that out here in the next couple of weeks. And after everyone, RCF, I think they're going to be at Mobile Beat. And when they get back, we're going to get things going with that. So fader lube. Is that what you had there, was a fader lube?
Yeah, the company makes a whole series of stuff. Let me see if I can find it and share it with you.
Lucas just posted a CAIG, KAIG? Is that what it was? But anyway, that's what Denon told him to use. So yeah, that's the same stuff that MJ has.
There are a lot of the stuff that back in the days was used in tubed electronics, because it will not short stuff out.
So I should actually have my college student who has taken and built computers and has used different lubricants and different cooling gels and all this garbage inside a computer that can do things and not short them out.
Yeah, it used to be called tuner spray. Radio Shack used to sell it. It was called tuner spray, and it was made for TV tuners. For those of you old enough to remember that, here's the Detoxit website. Wait, let me kick this off.
Yeah, but that's the same stuff that Lucas is mentioning there.
I'm gonna kill this here. There we go. But they sell boatloads of stuff. Everything from stuff for cleaning, like flushing stuff out, both for cleaning and lubing is what a lot of this stuff is. And they little nozzles and stuff. You can get little things on it. Battery terminal cleaners. It all has stuff to do with the electronic world and stuff that we do. And there's just endless amounts of stuff you can get from them.
So MJ, you just reminded me as we were going, you're scrolling down and you're showing the ones where they had the little tube and it was bent or shaped, what have you. Probably one of the coolest purchases that I've made, and this is nothing DJ related whatsoever, is one of the things I struggle with is when you have fans on your furnace and any other kind of blower fans, you need to clean those, vacuum them out and such, and then they need to be lubricated, and they need to have so you have your lubricant can, and if you're trying to reach in and squirt some lubricant into the motor, it's almost impossible. Well, on eBay, I found 10-inch long, those little red plastic tubes, but they're 10 inches long. So you can put that on your can of lubricant, and you can bend that sucker around backwards, forwards, and get it into those spots and such. I thought when I had that, I had the world by the butt, man. That was so awesome. we on our fireplace in the house, it has a blower. And basically, I would have to go and disassemble that whole blower to be able to hit the inside lubricant port. And it was such a pain. Such a pain. But anyway, so they're completely off base.
No, where it's open, it's open tangent night.
Yeah, it is. See, Lucas, that Evox 12, that's what I'm thinking. And I just, it has a lot of power, and I'm that guy who likes to have the capability. I'm very seldom the one that they're like, oh, turn it down. I seldom hear that. I'll have more people say, can you turn it up a little bit? Because I'm conservative with volume when it comes to shows. Because I don't want to be that guy who chases grandma out. Unless, of course, grandma's being rowdy and then she needs to be chased out by security. So I try not to be that person. But I like to have that. I remember the days when we had our very first sound system and people would come up and everybody like, can you turn it up a little bit? And it's like, my amplifiers, this back in the old PV days when we had the 358s were the top, and I think the 388s were initially I had 388s on tops and a 118 sub, and we were pushing this with a pair of CS 800 amplifiers. So first off, there was 150 pounds of amplifiers there, and then you had 5,000 pounds worth of speakers there, and it couldn't get that loud. I mean, it got loud, but it couldn't get loud enough for some venues. And people would, can you turn it up a little bit? No, I can't. See that amplifier? It's flickering because PV's with a DDT or DHT or whatever they called it at DTT, their compression algorithm. That's what would allow you to be able to push, and then you'd see it flickering, and you knew that it was engaging, and off you go. So having the ability to be loud, I like to have that because you can always. It's very easy to back it off, but you can't. If you don't have the speakers, you can't do it.
I've always said you can turn a loud system down, but you can never turn a quiet system up.
Yeah, exactly. MJ, have you ever run into something called speaker fatigue with your sound system?
Yeah, over the years they'll wear, because you can understand it's a cloth and it's something in the car audio world that's really big. I actually was talking to my friend Pete the other day about it. Is that because the speaker itself flexes because it's a fiber cloth type thing, and it's pushing air. And just like anything, you move it a bunch of times, and it's going to get wore out and be less effective. So it's not going to push the air evenly. And we've all heard speakers that are blown that have that sound to it. Yeah. What that is just the paper's tore and the air is just going in and out without stopping it. So an older speaker can fatigue quite easily. And I'm guessing that's the fatiguing you're talking about, if not electronic fatiguing.
I think there's a couple of versions. That obviously would be one. And then I think there's maybe an electronic would be the way to describe it. But when you're playing from a speaker and you're pushing it to its limit, especially a somewhat lower quality speaker, and as the evening goes on, you're like, I'm just not getting the same volume out of this thing anymore.
Yeah, there's different kinds of amps, and you kind of have to look at it as there's a sound wave that goes up and down, okay? And the D-class amp is really good because it amplifies one side evenly to where the other one begins. But a B-class amp, it overlays to compensate. So you're actually losing power as they crisscross to compensate. So every time that does that. So over time, your 1,000 watts isn't going to be 1,000 watts because it's trying to shut off and taper off as the other one is anticipating and picking up and coming through. So that's one of the big thig that has, ear fatigue is possible. I've had that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that's possible depending upon what type of amp it is. That's why I'm a big fan of the D-class amps. A lot of people say they don't sound as good because technically the way that it amplifies the up and the down or the high and the low thing, doesn't sound as good. But I just think having that amp and having its own built-in a limiter and stuff in that. So if you're looking for speakers that are powered, try to find something with a D-class amp. And I think they're going to, if you can't afford that, that's fine, but just be warned.
At NAMM, we interviewed the Personas booth and their new line of speakers, and they of course have that D-class amplifier in the subwoofer, but they have now they're going back to the AB amplifier for their highs, and I had a conversation with Ben Stowe talking about that is an actual better marriage with that amplifier with the higher frequencies and how it all comes through and such. So I found that very interesting because it's. You just didn't hear that.
Correct. It's A or C. Because I read an article on this. It was A or C. One of the two only amplifies that upper high stroke.
Mm.
So it's intended where it never touches those lower tones at all. But that's kind of what that's for. And I think it's the C. No, it's one of the letters, remember the olden days of CB radios? The crappy speakers that came with stuff like that, that was one of those odd, I think it's C class or B, maybe B or A, that only does one direction. And like they said, if you're splitting your highs and lows, if you're doing a crossover, a built-in crossover of some sort, that's fine. But it's like you look at the QSCs and in some of the EVs that to where you have both in the same thing being amplified by the same amp. That's where that kind of comes in, where it's a little bit better. But if you can put one amp on one amp on the other, that's primo.
Yeah.
You will get much better sound.
So Class A would be the one. Paul's sharing that here.
It's been so long since I've read my own article that I wrote, but it was all about how that they work and the swings and how that they the up and the down, how it compensates and how that takes away. That's why with the D-class amps, you can have 1,000 steady, 2,000 peak. That's unheard of for a box, that weighs 35, 40 pounds.
Just reading some of the comments here and such. Cool. Yeah, that's the Personas. As many of you might have known, last night we did a show. Ben was at the Personas headquarters and such, and making some contact. So I'm hoping that they'll let us test out a pair of the new speakers so we can compare those side by side with the EVs and whatever else happens to be in the office. The new JBLs that'll be coming out. They're going to be headed this way here sometime this spring. It's a lot easier for me to do speaker testing outside than it is to do everything inside, because for one thing, if I do a lot of subwoofer testing, you can hear the inside of the metal building. So it might sound cool, but it sounds,
That's the olden days putting the big subs in my cars in the license plate.
Yeah, exactly. So the Class A amp would run hot, but I wonder if because of doing Those higher
They're
frequencies.
smaller. Yeah, I was gonna say it's the I don't think they're putting out a lot of watt on their high ends, are they?
I don't think they need to. I mean, you're not pushing out. You're not putting 1,000 watts to it by any means.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't take as much to push the air with that. Again, I'm like I said, I'm not the expert on this by any means. I just did a little research. I'm one of those people that if I want to, slightly curious as to why something works, I tend to go and research it to death and back. And I forget, I think it was somewhere where I wrote an article for something, and that was all about the different class amps. When it was back when they first started putting the D class amps out, so that's like 10 years ago or more. So.
see, the Ben could have a day they're mentioning the open house there at NLFX headquarters. I've got to keep in mind that there are people who are going to be watching this that aren't seeing the live chat, and there are people who are listening. MJ, it was not last week, the week before, shows on iTunes are over 350 downloads each show. Crazy that there's.
The title of this one, obviously.
Yeah, we'll be changing that before it goes live. I've got to make sure that it's
back next week with the right thing. I apologize. I think I'm actually, because what I use for the deck cam is a GoPro, a cheap GoPro, and it's just tethered in with the USB cord, and it's giving me problems to where I can't seem to get it to connect now. So I'm going to be looking into a better, higher quality one so that you're able to see the deck, the stuff I do on the decks. So I apologize about that.
Just going to change the title now, so that way, in case the website start grabbing it and social media starts grabbing it, that it will the title will be good.
Yeah, the slip effect video is going to be neat because I'm going to be showing everything from the way it was done in the old school to the new both platter effects, button effects. Because the effect itself, I'll be talking about that next week, was originally hardware on a couple of the CDJs. It wasn't software, so it was something that they implemented after everybody's like, "Where is slip mode at?" So I'll be explaining all that.
That will be awesome. And then demonstrating it with a couple of different songs and how you put it all together.
I'm going to show, because I was playing around with this afternoon. I really spent a lot of time preparing this, because John knows that I'm like, just don't give me a day, give me a week. I got to prepare.
Yep, exactly.
But I was doing multiple things at the same time and scratching with the slip effect, and I was like, wow, I didn't even think I could do this with that.
Awesome.
It was kind of neat how it all worked together. But it's more than the average person will do. But with the stock stuff, because obviously I show you the stock stuff too, it's some very easy stuff that's already in your software, no matter whether you use Serato or virtual.
Very cool.
That's what I'm going to be showing. So it's not, you don't have to MIDI map, you don't have to anything. It's built in.
Yeah, Tony, back to the chat room here. Tony's mentioning, knowing that I do school dances and such. That's one of the big reasons why I went and invested in the EV EKX and now the ETX, getting a couple of those cabinets, is because both Lori and myself, we both will do high school dances. There's some schools where yes, we're older than most of the parents of the students at these schools now, yay, but they know that we can come in there and we can read the crowd, and we know the music that the kids are into that can be played in a school event, because there's a lot of music, of course, that can't be, and that they trust us. It's probably the biggest thing that gets down to it. The kids enjoy us. They haven't thrown us out yet, so that's why I've got my EV. I wanted to have that, but when it comes to weddings and such, the smaller form factor. My biggest disappointment when I had the Bose, the L1 system, was that big, the big base plate that came with. It's like it looked like I was playing with an oversized batting tee is really what I was thinking it was.
Tetherball.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at that, so I looked at when a compact came out, it's like, well, that's just a little too small for my needs. The JBL one, after hearing it at DJ Expo last year, where they had two of them set up, and that put out a lot of sound. I was really surprised at the sound pressure that did in a very noisy and unfriendly audio environment room. I was really quite impressed with that. With that being said, there's at least I think there's two companies yet in 2017 that are going to be introducing their version of that speaker set. So where we end up by the end of the year and what's the favorite and what's sounding the greatest is yet to be seen. But it's something I definitely want to look at for the wedding area, because as much as I love the EVs, going and dragging those to a VFW where it's a small event, and it's like, okay, I could do it and spend more time setting up and all this stuff, or I can be quick in, set up, do the show, get out, and my dollar per hour rate is much higher than it is when I'm doing a huge event where I've got everything for setup for days and planning and all those different things. So that's going to be my plan. That will be the plan.
Doesn't seem like we have any Bose fans in the chat room.
Yeah,
I'm a QSC person just for the warranty alone. That's what drove me to them, because
for sure, I think a lot of people,
their sound, even though some of the other ones now are, I think, sound better, slightly better. I mean, the average person would notice, but we as DJs noticed it. But when you pick up, put that much down on a speaker and it's guaranteed for 6 years, I mean, that's
substantial,
crazy. And it's, yeah. So I would, if QSC didn't sound as good, I would still go that direction.
Yeah. I think pretty much most of the companies now have gone to that. And I know the conversation at the Personas is that everyone who purchased before they extended it to a 6-year is going to be now grandfathered in and given a 6-year warranty. And off camera, they were even talking about that, we may even extend it longer than 6 years, which is interesting because you get to a point where it's just a marketing ploy. Mm-hmm. To a point.
Works for people like me.
I know it works, and for those couple times, but I'm trying to think about the last time I kept a speaker for 6 years and was actually truly using it. Yeah. After about 3 years, because going back to when I started with my first PV, I probably used that first set of PVs the longest, but even that, I went and then I went with the Bose 80. Was the 801s? Was that 801s? I think they were 801s.
My K12s are coming up on 6 years. I'm real close to 6 years.
Really? Yeah. So because I went to the Series 2 Bose, and then I went to the Series 3 when those came out, and then I went to the L series for a while, and then I had there was another brand in there, and then Yamaha, and now Eevee. This has been my transition over the years, and upgrading and changing the Bose when I had the 800 series, I had those the longest. But during that time frame, I had one Series 2 set, and I blew one of them up, got rid of those, got a brand new Series 2 set, blew one of those up. That was probably 2 or 3 years of play, and then I had the Series 3, and I ended up I had 3 sets of those that I used, but I never popped one of those, but I'd use them for a couple of years, and then I started using the next one for a couple of years. And then the big shows where I needed to have all 6, 3 on each side, and use the binding straps. That's what I did back then. But I think because I had those 6, and I was playing so loud at that time, and the way the Bose brought that sound back, I think that's what did a lot of damage to my hearing back then.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Bose just because they have that such wide range. The sound tends to bleed backwards, and I really watch my ears. I know I have very good hearing, and if I've yet to be at a place, because I have lots of friends that use them, that I'm able to even stand in the DJ area at all, because that sound is such a wide. What is that called?
Dispersion, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dispersion, that it bleeds back to where I am DJing, and it's like I just can't even handle it. See, again, that could be something that, one may sound better than the other, but that's why it's tough to talk about sound sometimes, because it's subjective, and most of the DJs I know are deaf.
Oh, yeah.
There's a buzz in their system. They can't hear it. So it's subjective to what each one is.
That's when we're at DJ Expo and up on the main stage. Was it 2 years ago? We were up there trying to do some things, and how loud those monitor speakers were. They're firing left and right of the DJ who's up on stage, and so you've got the huge sound going out the front. That's very loud. And so even without the monitors up on the stage, you're hearing that's very loud. And then they had the monitors that were point blank and just blaring. That was, if you guys ever saw the video from that, it was so loud and there was so much bass, and that the subs were on the floor. They weren't on the stage. The only thing that was on the stage, I believe all the speakers were on the floor. The only thing that was on the stage were the two monitors that were on stands. Those 2 monitors were so loud and having so much movement that my camera was vibrating from that. It wasn't from the subs.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. There's a friend of mine that when he DJs, you can stand in the middle of the dance floor and you can hear when he turns the booth monitors on for him to start DJing. You can hear it from the dance floor. Drives me. I'm like, because there's many nights I've opened for him where literally if I don't put my earplugs in, I still have my headphones on as I'm packing up because I can't be in there. It's so crazy loud.
Wow.
But there's just so many DJs that are your hearing is something that goes very slowly. So it's not something you wake up one day and go, oh, my shoulder's sore, I must have heard it.
Yeah.
It's little by little by little by little. And that's how you make your living. And it's kind of tough to, if you ever want to see a movie about that, there's a DJ movie called It's All Gone Pete Tong. And it's a fictional movie about a guy, a DJ who he's at the height of world touring DJing and he loses his hearing. It's kind of funny.
The new QSC sub, are you referring to the new one that came out, the unpowered speakers? I think is because we got to see those at NAMM. Talk to the guys about their new unpowered speakers. I don't think the video is edited yet. This is what happens when you have your editing crew is your junior high. I think he's still in junior high. My junior high son he edits my videos, a lot of the videos. And now that he's in play and he's in knowledgeable and he's in whatever else it is, it's like, dude, come on. Oh man, and he knocks a couple of videos out here and there, and probably gets about 5 or 6 edited a week. And I haven't done a FBT RCF side by side. It would be interesting when Brian, if we could do that, where we did the Evox 12 and the was it CL 1000 or whatever Brian Red has. If we could manage to do those side by side, that'd be a fun comparison. The one woofer facing backwards. Oh, I didn't get to see that one at the show. I've heard people talk about it, but when I went to the booth, it's like, okay, guys, what's new? What should we talk about? Oh, let's talk about these speakers in the front. And we did the unpowered stuff and went through that. No one said anything about that subwoofer. I didn't know about it until 3 days later, and somebody was talking about it. I was at the show.
Yeah, I haven't got to see it at all.
Yeah, cardioid sub. Yeah, that was a big thing from a lot of companies talking about cardioid, which it's been around for a while. EV was one that really tried to push it 2 or 3 years ago, the concept thereof. And now this year, I want to say 4 or 5 different companies that were talking subwoofers were talking about having cardioid capability in their speakers. So, well, MJ, we're gonna have to wrap things up so we can get switched over here. Again, gang, next Wednesday night we'll be back and we'll have everything ready to roll, and hopefully the electronic gods will smile upon us.
Like I said, I'm going to replace them and start again.
Yeah.
I think they were the problem.
Yeah, things happen that way. That's why there's a new controller over there with the Personas, because that little mixer died on me. So, thank you guys for hanging out and being with us tonight. We'll be back in just a few minutes. The link for the next show is in the description below, so we'll catch you in about 5.